Hello, can you hear me? Good morning, I'm Ruth. I'm the outgoing NYUK President. I've had 1.5 terms on the job and I'm stepping down to let somebody else take the leadership on. It's been quite an experimental few years with a lot of change going on. In the first year, the council ended up being quite small, which meant that my personal job description was really quite long. So the decision was made last year for the 2019 to 2020 council to increase the size of that council and try and stretch out and reach some of the potential that we had in front of us. And although we had a full council, we filled all the positions. For the most part, we had a mixed bag of whether or not we met that potential. Camp, Christmas parties and the house parties were all personal highlights for me, but I'm sure there's great things going on otherwise as well. The teams behind those events worked incredibly hard on the planning, from first aid kits to food, festivities. We continue to see from a number of youth groups, including my bunch at Ashton, a lot of enthusiasm for all that stuff that's happening at NYUK. So thank you to everyone who helped with that. Within the young people in particular, we've had amazing character and amazing things that I've seen develop out of them. At the house party event during the free time, we regularly had a group of young people gathering in the chapel where we were at NTC just to play worship music when they got a free break. When our train was cancelled at the Christmas party, that's the Ashton one, none of my young people moaned, and back at the church were welcomed with open arms to wait another hour for the next one. At camp, we saw a series of late night worship slots where young people stepped up, many leading worship or doing dramas or reading scriptures for the very first time. And their friends all crammed into this little room we had as a prayer room so they could watch and join in. And while I'm looking at the age reps who were stood for election, it's so exciting to see the number of leaders we have coming up through our church in those young people, and exciting to think about where they're going to go in the future. But we also had a number of projects which never quite got off the ground. Some of them you might know about because you might have seen advertisement, and others people in the council will know about, but unless you've read the minutes for those meetings, you might not get a sense of all the different things we were trying to bring about. The nature of being on a council made up of young adults who were almost all devoted full-time to another activity, whether that be parenting or local church ministry or jobs or studying, means that we don't have massive amounts of time. Communication across a really big geographical area is always a struggle, but after this whole situation, I'm sure we'll be better at that because we've all got so used to Zoom. But potentially the hardest thing is getting sign-ups or responses from local churches. I had a time where I was like speaking to the DAB and they were like, how can I help? And I was like, get anyone to respond, like almost in tears because I was really struggling to get response from local churches. We love it when people come along to events and recognise that sometimes a person will sign up last minute. At Ashton, I've had young people sign up to camp 2 days before camp who had no interest beforehand. So we recognise that happens, but we had churches turn up to events without calling ahead and letting any of the organising team know. Which is amazing, but would have been great if we knew beforehand. We still don't know on a regular basis whether we'll have 15 or 50 young people at house parties, sometimes the week before. And this has been the whole time I've been on the council for like 4 years, but it would be great if we could see improvement on that. It makes it incredibly hard to buy the right amount of food, activity stuff, and make sure we've got the right opportunity to serve set up if we don't know how many people are coming along. Even if you can't make it to an event, which we recognise happens all the time for like staffing reasons or transport or anything else, just let us know, because that's really helpful too, to know how many churches can't go and why it might be that they can't go, so then we can improve in the future. We'd also love to stay in contact with you guys, so if you've got youth teams going on in your local church, or if you don't have a youth team but you have a couple of young people and a pastor, we'd love to get those youth volunteers or youth workers or pastors onto our closed Facebook group for leaders, so we can get connected into ongoing discussion. For example, this week, Jo Tambrello, who's amazing at safeguarding and policies, she was offering advice for people doing Zoom meetings with their young people about the best way to do that safeguarding wise. So yeah, we'd love to get you in a loop on that. Drop me a message on here or drop me an email at hilditchruth@gmail.com if you want to know more about that. I'm going to try and slow down now because I know I speak quickly. Locally though, we've got loads going on, most of which I only know a small amount about. A few examples from before this isolation times. Grimsby has got such an exciting and packed youth group in the building, and it's been great catching up with Jack and hearing about what they're doing. The Birmingham, Oxford and Watford churches have had some brilliant worship services that I've seen posters for, but unfortunately not been able to make it down for. And even in isolation, Bristol continues to adapt, and they've created a TV show which is being enjoyed all over the district. Again, if you've got young people you know or in your church and you think they might quite enjoy that, drop me a message. I'll add you to the Facebook group we've got for that one going as well. Because we've got people, not even just from Britain, like in France and other places, tuning into that. And it's really exciting to see how they're like working into that potential. One of the big questions to come from the incoming council is finding out which of our churches want to gather together to meet God and each other, and then harness that energy we've got the best way that the ongoing council can, wrapped up in prayer and God's leading. Thank you so much to all my council from this year and last year too. For almost all of my council, apart from a few, they've now got a chance for a break because they're stepping back. Take a break from that district leadership position, and I hope for them this is a time for rest and service in other ways, and it's something which is as fruitful, if not more fruitful, than the time they've been on the council. I'd like to thank Tom Salmons, who's done the social media for us for quite a while. I'd like to thank Michelle Lynham, or Mish, as we all call her. Thank you for your incredible support of everything that we do on a personal basis, but also as NYUK. And Diego Lopez, who does a lot of NYI stuff on like a global level. Thank you for your relentless energy in getting us linked up more widely in the cultures within our own district, but also across the world as well. And thank you also for being a mentor to me personally. Now all that remains is for me to introduce you to the new council and announce the results, because we've had polls going up in the last few weeks. So I'm pleased to announce that Tom Burke from Didsbury will be our new president, which is awesome. Love that. Stephen Healer, who's really hard working, has got loads done this year. He is staying again to work as a treasurer for another year through, and he goes to Longside Church. We've got James Strong from Sheffield. He served with me a few years ago, so he's done the council before, and I'm really happy to say that he's back as an age rep for the adult bracket. Now we had an incredible lineup of young people willing to serve and stood up, and yeah, they're all fantastic individuals, but unfortunately we've only got a certain number of positions available on the council. So the 4 young people who are going to be joining this year's council are from the Birmingham Church, Anna Beatrice Carrera, and I hope I said your name right, I'm sorry if I haven't. From Longside Church, Josh McConkey. From Leeds Morley, Nathan McMullen. And from Fresh Ground, Jess Knack. So yeah, an exciting mixture of people, and I'm really excited to see how they're going to step up and how NYI is going to flourish and move in new ways this year. But now that's the end of me. So I'd like to invite on Tom Burke, who's our new incoming president.
Hi everyone. I've been asked just to maybe introduce myself for anyone who maybe doesn't know. First of all, I'd just like to say I'm really blessed and honoured to be able to do this role. I'm really grateful to everyone who's engaged with voting in a different way this time round. I'm really thankful to God for allowing me to do this. For those who don't know me, I'm from Leyland or Chorley, near Preston originally. I live in Manchester now, where I moved to study at NTC a few years back, and currently co-pastor at Didsbury Community Church alongside my wife Kirsty, who's somewhere on this Zoom call. I'm sure you can find her if you scroll through the pages. I've served in a few different roles over maybe about 5 years at DCC, and I've been part of the youth set up there and NYUK ever since, really. Over that whole time, whether it's been through kind of various events, whether in leading worship, helping young people to lead worship, teaching in workshops, team leading, or just even being present, really, NYUK's and all the events and the young people that we have in the Nazarene Church have always been really close to my heart. I was on the council maybe about 3 years ago as a young adults rep, so I'm really looking forward to being back. you know, young people are so important, both as the present church and as the future of the church as well, and as disciples in their own right, as well as potential new disciples. And so what kind of makes me really passionate for this next year is making disciples. Really basic, but it is our call, whether that is new disciples or helping to build stronger disciples in the church that are already here. I want to really be able to support this calling for the church and with young people specifically. I've also been really encouraged to see new faces and new churches that maybe I hadn't really met anyone from before kind of turn up at recent events, and I really want to keep pushing for this. This is really ace, and a few people kind of joining the council this time round who I've not met and not seen before at NYUK event, and it's just great actually that they're passionate about youth and passionate about the district, that they've put their hands up and say, actually, you know what, I want to stand for this position. So I'm really stoked to see new people joining the council and just to see a wider representation of the churches. Really want to keep pushing for a strong relationship with all Nazarene churches and their young people, and with those churches who maybe want to be reaching young people and maybe just aren't quite there yet. And so we want to really bring together this kind of family feel, this feeling of unity across the district, but also really support that basic calling of making disciples at a local level. Lastly, I kind of really grateful for all the hard work that Ruth and the previous councils have done. They've done such a good job, and they've worked really hard at NYUK stuff. I'm really looking forward to meeting with and working with this kind of newly shaped council and all these passionate adults and passionate, gifted, talented young people. I'm just really excited to meet you all and to begin working together, and to hopefully continue the good work that's happened and maybe try some new things as well. Thanks, everyone.